Number 19. Europe's emptiest corner. Estonia is one of the most sparsely populated countries in Europe, where silence almost feels like part of the landscape. Even in Tallinn, the country's largest city and capital, you can walk for nearly an hour through clean, safe streets and encounter only a few people. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next journeys to unique places like Estonia. After 8 p.m., many areas gradually fall silent. There are no constant car horns or crowded streets, only street lights, old rooftops, and the feeling that the entire city is slowing down as night falls. Located on the eastern shore of the Baltic Sea, Estonia has a population of about 131 million people, with a population density of only around 80 people per square mile. This figure is much lower than in many Western European countries. Within the same area, England has about 725 people, while the Netherlands has more than 1,340 people. This makes Estonia 9 to 17 times less densely populated than the most crowded places in the region. Most of that emptiness comes from nature. More than half of Estonia's territory is covered by forests, many of which remain wild and are strictly protected. The country also has more than 2,000 islands of various sizes, but most have no permanent residents. Outside Tallinn, forests, wetlands, and rural villages are spread far apart. Some roads stretch for dozens of miles with hardly a single person in sight. The Baltic climate makes the landscape feel even quieter. Summers are usually cool, with temperatures around 63 degrees Fahrenheit, while winters can drop to nearly 14 degrees Fahrenheit. When snow blankets the forests, lakes freeze over, and the sky turns silvery gray, Estonia appears both lonely and captivating. However, that emptiness does not mean danger. Estonia is considered one of the safer countries in Europe, where people can enjoy privacy without facing the chaos often found in major cities. Estonia's appeal does not lie in lively streets or crowded sidewalks. It can be found on an empty road, an uninhabited island, or in a forest stretching all the way to the horizon. For those tired of a noisy pace of life, this quiet corner of Europe may be the ideal place to rediscover a sense of peace. Number 18. Where women outnumber. Estonia stands out not only for its vast forests and quiet cities, but also for a clear demographic characteristic. Women outnumber men. On average, there are about 91 men for every 100 women in Estonia. This difference is not always easy to notice while walking through the streets of Tallinn, but it is clearly reflected in the population structure, especially among older age groups. One of the most important reasons is the life expectancy gap between the two sexes. In 2023, Estonian women had an average life expectancy of about 83 years, while men typically live to under 75. This gap of nearly 8 years is among the largest in Europe. This means that as people reach middle and old age, the number of women increasingly exceeds the number of men. In many families, older women become the ones who preserve the home, memories, and traditions after outliving their partners. The life expectancy gap did not emerge by chance. According to the explanation in the material, it is linked to the historical legacy of the Baltic region under Soviet rule. For decades, men often worked physically demanding jobs, faced harsh working conditions, and had higher levels of alcohol consumption. These factors contributed to more health problems and shorter life expectancy. Estonia has changed dramatically since regaining independence, but part of the demographic legacy of that earlier period continues to this day. The gender imbalance has also created subtle changes in social life. In small communities and rural areas, many older women live alone after their husbands pass away. They manage their households, take care of their homes, and maintain community ties on their own. So behind the image of a peaceful country is the story of many women who have become accustomed to independence, resilience, and the ability to stand on their own through life's changes. Estonia has also attracted worldwide attention for the distinctive beauty of its local women. Many are tall, with light-colored hair, light eyes, and features associated with Nordic beauty. This small country has produced several famous models who have appeared on international runways, including Carmen Cass and Carmen Pederu. Their images have appeared in fashion campaigns and major magazines, helping Estonian beauty become more widely recognized. However, appearance is only the most visible part. Estonian women often have a calm, reserved, and somewhat distant manner when meeting strangers. They rarely start conversations first or show their emotions too quickly. But that initial distance does not mean they are unfriendly. It reflects a culture that values personal space. Once a relationship becomes close enough, that reserve is often replaced by sincerity and warmth. For that reason, the fact that women outnumber men in Estonia is more than just a number. Behind the ratio of 91 men for every 100 women are differences in life expectancy, traces of history, and the image of strong women quietly preserving their families, communities, and the identity of this Baltic country. Don't forget to leave a like if Estonia has surprised you. Number 17. Kihnu, the island the women run. Off Estonia's western coast, in the cold waters of the Baltic Sea, lies a small island called Kihnu. It has only about 600 residents, yet it preserves one of Europe's most distinctive cultural communities. Kihnu is often known as the island run by women because, for generations, women have taken on the role of sustaining daily life, caring for their families, and preserving the identity of the community. In the past, men on the island often had to leave home for months to fish and hunt seals. While they were out at sea, the women stayed behind and took care of nearly all the work on land. They tended the fields and gardens, raised the children, managed their households, and maintained community life. More importantly, they also preserved ancient songs, traditional dances, handicraft techniques, and rituals passed down through generations. Thanks to that perseverance, Kihnu's cultural space has been recognized by UNESCO as part of the intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The traditions here are not preserved only in museums, but continue to be part of everyday life. Residents wear traditional clothing, perform ancient rituals, and pass handicraft skills onto younger generations through observation and practice. One of the occasions that most clearly reflects Kihnu's identity is the traditional wedding. A wedding on the island can last for 3 days, with numerous rituals, songs, and community activities. The bride leaves her parents' home and is welcomed into the groom's family. Her dowry is also displayed in front of everyone, sometimes including hundreds of entirely handmade items such as wool socks, gloves, and intricately woven belts. A large wedding can bring together 200 to 300 guests, creating an atmosphere that is both solemn and vibrant. The most recognizable image of Kihnu women is their colorful striped wool skirts. Each color and pattern carries its own meaning, connected to the wearer's age, circumstances, or personal story. They also continue to sing in the ancient Runo style, using rhythms that appeared in Baltic folk poetry before Christianity spread to the region. Kihnu is sometimes described as a matriarchal society, but a more accurate description is a female-centered community. Women play the leading role in preserving the culture, but men remain an essential part of life on the island. This distinctive division of responsibilities has helped Kihnu endure for generations and become a living symbol of the strength, perseverance, and ability of Estonian women to preserve tradition. Number 16. The loneliness behind the quiet. Estonia's quiet atmosphere can make many visitors feel comfortable from the moment they arrive. Clean roads, vast forests, and a slower pace of life create a rare sense of peace. However, behind that calm is another side that is less often mentioned. Loneliness can be very noticeable, especially in areas far from the capital, Tallinn. Estonia has a population density of only about 80 people per square mile, while nearly one-third of the country's population is concentrated in Tallinn. This makes the rest of the country feel even more sparsely populated. In rural areas, villages are far apart, homes are scattered among the forests, and roads can stretch for dozens of miles without many people in sight. Visitors can sometimes walk or drive for hours and see little more than trees, wetlands, and empty fields. Loneliness in Estonia comes not only from geographic distance, but also from the culture of communication. Estonians often keep their distance in public and rarely start conversations with strangers. They value privacy, dislike unnecessary small talk, and tend to express their emotions in a reserved way. To foreigners, this manner can sometimes be misunderstood as cold or unfriendly. However, it is mainly the way Estonians respect one another's personal space. Winter makes the sense of isolation even more noticeable. Tallinn lies at about 59 degrees north latitude. On the shortest day of the year, the city gets only about 5 hours and 42 minutes of daylight. Even at midday, the sun stays low on the horizon. Many people leave home for work while it is still dark and return after night has already fallen. Short days, cold weather, and prolonged gray skies can make life feel quieter and more closed off. The rising cost of living also creates additional pressure for residents, especially those who live alone. In a society where people already interact less, physical isolation and long winter months can make feelings of loneliness more intense. Even so, quiet does not mean sadness. For people tired of noise, crowds, and a fast-paced lifestyle, Estonia can feel like an ideal refuge. The silence here may feel lonely to some, but to others, it can mean freedom, privacy, and peace. Number 15. Sauna is sacred. In the Voormaa region of southern Estonia, sauna bathing is not simply a way to relax after a long, cold day. For local people, it is a centuries-old ritual connected to family life, community, and the spiritual world. Voormaa's smoke sauna tradition is so distinctive that it has been recognized and protected by UNESCO as part of humanity's living cultural heritage. Unlike modern saunas, traditional smoke saunas do not have chimneys. When the wood is burned, smoke fills the entire room, soaking into the dark wooden walls and leaving behind a distinctive scent. Before people enter, the smoke is released outside, but the heat and smell of wood remain. A proper sauna session can last at least 3 hours, giving people enough time to slow down, step away from work, and return to a more natural rhythm of life. For Estonians, every detail of this ritual carries both practical and spiritual meaning. The sauna is a place where people sit together, speak honestly, resolve disagreements, and share things that can sometimes be difficult to say in everyday life. A familiar part of the ritual is using bundles of soft, leafy birch branches to gently slap the skin. This helps warm the body and stimulate blood circulation. After enduring the heat inside the wooden sauna, many people plunge straight into a cold lake or immerse themselves in icy water. The sudden temperature shock makes every nerve feel awakened, creating an intense and refreshing sensation. Sauna culture is also connected to many other traditional skills. The same smoke-filled room can be used to smoke meat for winter storage. Choosing branches, tying birch whisks, and preparing the sauna space are also skills passed down from one generation to the next, mainly through observation and practice, rather than books. Estonians value sauna culture so much that they have turned it into a competition. Every February, in the town of Otepää, teams take part in the European Sauna Marathon, trying to visit as many saunas as possible within 5 hours. They can also earn extra points if they dare to jump into an ice hole. In a country where many churches are becoming increasingly empty, the place many people consider sacred is not a religious building, but a dark wooden room filled with heat. There, sauna bathing does more than cleanse the body. It also helps people restore balance, connect with one another, and return to some of Estonia's oldest values. Number 14. Kiting and wife carrying. Estonians are known for their calm appearance and reserved lifestyle, but their traditional sports reveal a completely different side, bold, humorous, and unafraid to push the limits. Two of the most distinctive examples are kiting, the sport of swinging all the way around the bar, and wife carrying, a race that may seem playful but requires remarkable strength, technique, and coordination. Kiting was developed in Estonia in 1993, originating from the large wooden swings that were once common in villages. In the past, swings were not just for children, but also served as gathering places where people sang and enjoyed themselves during festivals, especially around midsummer. From this community tradition, Estonians created a much more extreme sport. The participant stands on a swing with steel arms, secures both feet to the platform, and uses full body strength to complete a full 360-degree rotation over the top of the bar. The greatest challenge lies in the length of the swing arms. The longer the arms, the harder it is to complete the rotation. The winner is the person who successfully completes a rotation on the swing with the longest arms. In 2022, an Estonian athlete achieved a result with swing arms measuring about 24 feet, showing that kiting requires not only courage, but also physical strength and extremely precise body control. Alongside kiting, Estonia has also made a strong mark in wife carrying. Although the competition originated in Finland, its most famous technique is known as the Estonian carry. In this style, the wife hangs upside down on her husband's back, with her legs locked around his neck and her arms wrapped around his waist. This seemingly unusual position frees the husband's hands, improves balance, and helps him move faster through an obstacle-filled course. The technique proved so effective that Estonian teams dominated the wife-carrying world championships for 11 consecutive years, from 1998 to 2008. In 2000, they also recorded a time of about 55 seconds. Kiting and wife carrying clearly reflect Estonia's distinctive spirit, turning ordinary activities like swinging or carrying someone on your back into challenges that few other places would dare to attempt. Behind the quiet image of this Baltic country is a creative, competitive community that is always ready to push fun beyond conventional limits. Number 13. The least religious nation on Earth. Estonia is considered one of the least religious countries in the world. According to the 2021 census, about 58% of people said they did not belong to any religion, up from 54% a decade earlier. Only about 14% of the population said religion played an important role in daily life. Among ethnic Estonians specifically, the share with no religious affiliation reached about 71%. However, This does not mean that most Estonians are strong atheists or openly opposed to religious belief. A more accurate way to understand it is that, for many people, the question of God simply no longer plays a central role. They may not completely reject spiritual life, but they also do not feel the need to associate themselves with a church, denomination, or specific system of belief. This situation was shaped by both modern history and long-standing cultural characteristics. During the roughly 50 years Estonia was under Soviet control, the government promoted atheism, restricted religious activity, and weakened the connection between the population and the church. After decades of this, religion gradually became a personal choice rather than a required part of community life. But the roots of this distance from religion go back even further. When Estonian national identity grew stronger in the 19th century, people did not build their sense of nation primarily around the church. Instead, they found unity in language, music, folk songs, and a deep connection with nature. For a small nation that had repeatedly lived under foreign rule, singing and the native language became important ways to protect its identity. Today, Orthodox Christianity is the largest religious group in Estonia, accounting for about 16% of the population, while the Lutheran Church represents about 8%. Most people belong to neither of these communities. Historic churches still stand in cities and villages, but the number of people who regularly participate in religious activities is relatively low. Although Estonians are less connected to organized religion, they are not entirely without a spiritual life. For many, a sense of the sacred can be found in forests, lakes, ancient trees, smoke saunas, or the fires lit during midsummer celebrations. Customs with pre-Christian origins continue to survive and play an important role in the culture. Estonia, therefore, presents a unique paradox. A country that operates largely through data, technology, and modern thinking, yet still maintains a deep connection with nature and ancient traditions. Here, faith may not be found inside churches, but quietly present in deep forests, sauna smoke, and songs that have accompanied the nation for centuries. Number 12. The Singing Revolution. Estonia is a small country, but its people once regained their freedom through a special kind of power, song. In the late 1980s, while the country was still under Soviet control, hundreds of thousands of Estonians gathered at the Tallinn Song Festival grounds. Together, they sang national songs, including songs that had once been banned. There were no weapons and no violent attacks, only countless voices singing together through days and nights. The movement later became known as the Singing Revolution. It was not simply a series of cultural events, but also became a symbol of the Estonian people's desire for independence. As the songs rose from the crowd, they helped people remember who they were, what language they spoke, and which land they belonged to. At a time when national identity had been threatened, music became a way for Estonians to affirm their existence. This peaceful movement helped Estonia break free from Soviet control. In 1991, Estonia restored its independence. For the people there, that victory came not only from political decisions, but was also built on the unity of hundreds of thousands of people joined together in one song. The roots of that power have existed for a long time in Estonian culture. The National Song Festival, also known as Laulupidu, was first held in 1869. About once every 5 years, tens of thousands of singers stand together on one stage, while a sea of spectators listens and joins in. This tradition has been recognized by UNESCO as intangible cultural heritage, together with the song festivals of Latvia and Lithuania. For Estonia, choral singing is not simply a form of performance, it is a way for the community to connect, preserve the language, and pass down national memory through generations. When individual voices merge into one powerful sound, Estonians find a strength that a single person alone could never have. The singing revolution showed that a nation does not necessarily have to use violence to resist oppression. Sometimes, a familiar song can become a statement more powerful than any speech. For Estonia, music once served as a refuge for national identity, a flame that kept the national spirit from being extinguished, and ultimately became one of the paths that led the country back to freedom. Number 11. The Digital Republic. Estonia is considered one of the most digitally advanced countries in the world. After regaining independence in 1991, this small nation not only rebuilt its government, moving nearly all administrative services online. Instead of maintaining cumbersome paper-based systems, Estonia made technology the foundation for operating the entire country. In 2005, Estonia became the first country in the world to hold legally binding online elections. Citizens can vote over the internet without having to go to a polling station. By 2023, about 51% of Estonian voters had chosen this method. With the electronic identification system, a citizen can verify their identity, sign documents, and complete many procedures from home. Voting from the living room, the office, or even while relaxing is no longer a futuristic idea, but has become a familiar part of everyday life. Estonia also created the e-residency program, allowing foreigners to establish and operate a European Union business entirely online without having to live in Estonia. More than 117,000 people from 185 countries have joined the program. As a result, Estonia not only serves its own citizens, but has also expanded its economic community around the world. About 99% of public services in Estonia can now be completed online. Nearly 98% of prescriptions are issued digitally, while about 99% of residents have an electronic ID card. Digital documents have been the standard since the early 2000s. People can file taxes, register a business, check medical records, or sign contracts without having to wait in line at government offices. The Estonian government estimates that electronic signatures save the economy an amount of time and money equivalent to about 2% of gross domestic product each year. Regardless of which party wins elections, Estonia continues to maintain its commitment to allocating about 1% of the economy to technology development. This success comes partly from the country's small population, but more importantly from the fact that Estonia had to rebuild almost from scratch after 1991. Without being tied to outdated administrative systems, the country was able to experiment with solutions that many larger nations still hesitate to adopt. In Estonia, the internet is not just a convenient tool, but is almost regarded as a basic right, while technology has become the backbone of the entire modern state. Number 10. Black bread and chocolate curd. Estonian cuisine does not stand out for luxurious ingredients or elaborate presentation. Instead, the food here clearly reflects the cold climate, long winters, and simple way of life of the Baltic people. At the center of the Estonian table is rye bread, a dark, dense bread with a rich flavor. It appears alongside almost every savory dish and is so deeply tied to national identity that a good wish is sometimes compared to wishing that there will always be bread on the table. From this familiar ingredient, Estonians also make leivasupp, or sweet bread soup. Dark bread is cooked with fruit juice or apples, flavored with a little cinnamon, and served with sour cream. For many visitors, the idea of turning bread into a dessert may seem unusual, but for Estonians, it is a taste that brings back memories of family and childhood. Another traditional dish is kama, a flour mixture made from barley, oats, peas, and roasted rye. Kama is usually mixed with yogurt or fermented milk, creating something between a thick drink and a light meal. One of the most common items found in convenience stores is kohuke, a sweet curd bar coated in chocolate, small, soft, creamy, and easy to eat. It is considered a familiar part of everyday life in Estonia. Overall, Estonian cuisine developed around ingredients that could be stored for long periods and provide enough energy during the winter. Although simple, every slice of dark bread or kohuke bar carries memories, traditions, and the story of how a small nation preserves its identity through each flavor. Number 9. Tallinn, time travel on a sidewalk. In a country known for modern technology, Tallinn still preserves a world that seems to have stood still for centuries. The old town of Estonia's capital is recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site and is considered one of the best preserved medieval urban centers in Northern Europe. Cobblestone streets, rows of merchant houses, watchtowers, and ancient city walls create the feeling that visitors are stepping into a story that has existed for more than 800 years. Just by walking through a few streets, you can see red rooftops, church spires, and narrow passageways winding around stone buildings. From the Town Hall Square area, the road gradually leads up to Toompi Hill, once the center of the city's power. Every step and every stone here recalls the time when Tallinn was an important trading center of the Baltic region. What is special is that the past and present in Tallinn are not separated. Just minutes earlier, you may have been walking among medieval houses. Shortly after, you can step into a modern technology district of the country, known as the Silicon Valley of Europe. These two seemingly opposite worlds exist side by side, clearly reflecting Estonia's image as a country always looking toward the future while still valuing its history. Located in one corner of the square is ATHEISTS, the town hall pharmacy, which has been recorded as operating at this location since 1422. It is considered the oldest continuously operating pharmacy in Europe. It had already been serving local residents for more than 70 years before Christopher Columbus crossed the Atlantic, and had existed for centuries before the United States was founded. Today, the pharmacy is still open, and also includes a small museum displaying tools and unusual remedies once used in the past. Surrounding it are tall, narrow merchant houses, ancient towers, and a cobblestone square that is often lively in summer. When market stalls are set up, music fills the streets, and visitors sit at outdoor cafes. The old town seems to come alive again, as it did during its prosperous era. For a completely different view of Tallinn, visitors can head to the Tallinn TV Tower. Standing about 1,030 feet tall, the structure offers sweeping views across the city, where historic rooftops gradually give way to green forests on the horizon. From above, Tallinn appears as a place where the past, nature, and technology coexist within a small space. Walking here is not just about exploring a city, but also feels like taking a journey through time along every street. Number 8. Ice roads and landmarks. One of the most unusual experiences in Estonia does not take place on the streets or among the forests, but right on the frozen surface of the Baltic Sea. Every winter, when the ice becomes thick enough to be safe, authorities open temporary roads connecting the mainland with the islands. Instead of taking a ferry, people can drive their cars straight across the vast white frozen sea, with frigid water beneath the wheels, separated only by a natural layer of ice. The most famous is the route connecting Rohuküla with the island of Hiiumaa. This road is about 16.5 miles long and is considered the longest public ice road in Europe. The scenery along the journey is unlike almost any other transportation route. Ahead lies only a vast stretch of ice extending to the horizon, with no trees, houses, or familiar road signs on either side. Only snow, wind, and open space. Driving on the ice road comes with some very unusual rules. Passengers are not allowed to wear seatbelts, so they can quickly escape the vehicle if something goes wrong. Speed must also not fall below about 25 miles per hour, because a vehicle moving too slowly can create resonance waves beneath the surface, weakening or cracking the ice. Heavy trucks are not allowed, and strict distances must be maintained between vehicles. The feeling of driving across the sea without a seatbelt, knowing that deep water lies underneath, makes the journey both exciting and somewhat frightening. Beyond its ice roads, Estonia also has several landmarks of international significance. Tallinn's Old Town is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, known for its cobblestone streets, city walls, and medieval architecture that have been preserved for centuries. Another landmark is the Struve Geodetic Arc, a system of survey points stretching across 10 countries, from Northern Europe to the Black Sea region. In Estonia, an important point in this system is located at the Tartu Observatory. Built in the 19th century, the Struve Arc helped scientists accurately measure the size and shape of the Earth. The project shows that Estonia is known not only for its wild landscapes, but also holds a notable place in the history of European science. From driving across a frozen sea to exploring landmarks that helped people better understand the planet, Estonia offers experiences that are difficult to find elsewhere. In this small country, harsh nature, ancient history, and a spirit of exploration are present in every journey. Number 7. A land of bogs and lone oaks. Leaving behind the ice roads in Tallinn's Old Town, visitors encounter a completely different Estonia, vast, wild, and almost separated from the modern world. Much of the country's landscape is made up of forests, lakes, wetlands, and fields, stretching out in silence. Amid this natural scenery, sometimes a single solitary tree is enough to become a symbol of the spirit of the entire country. On the island of Saaremaa, there is an oak tree growing right in the middle of a soccer field. It does not stand by the sideline or behind the goal, but near the center of the field. When local people built the field, they refused to cut down the oak and decided instead to arrange the playing area around it. As a result, in every match, players not only have to get past their opponents, but sometimes also have to avoid the large tree trunk blocking the path of the ball. According to a local story, even Stalin once wanted the oak removed, but it still remained. In 2015, it was voted European Tree of the Year and gradually became famous under the name the football tree. The image of a resilient tree standing in the middle of a sports field became a small but meaningful symbol of a country that has gone through many upheavals and still refuses to yield easily. The rest of Estonia carries the same wild and resilient beauty as that oak tree. The country is covered with dense forests, quiet lakes, and vast wetlands. The RMK trail system stretches for about 510 miles, leading hikers through a wide variety of natural landscapes. Along the routes, the government provides free shelters, rest areas, and even firewood for hikers. Estonia also has exceptionally clean air. According to IQ Air's 2024 air quality report, it is one of the very few countries that meets the World Health Organization's strict limit for fine particulate matter. The nationwide average concentration is only about 0.13 micrograms per cubic foot, while in Tallinn it is around 0.12 micrograms. From mist-covered wetlands to an oak tree that refused to make way for a soccer field, Estonia's nature is not flashy, yet it leaves a deep impression. It is a quiet, resilient land that seems to remind people that sometimes the most powerful beauty appears in the most solitary things. Number 6. Born from this soil. With a population of only about 1.3 million people, Estonia has still produced a remarkable number of billion-dollar technology companies. On a per capita basis, this small country ranks among the leaders in Europe, with about seven tech unicorns for every 1 million people. The list of companies born in Estonia includes familiar names such as Skype, Wise, Bolt, Pipedrive, Playtech, and Verif. The major turning point began with Skype, the internet calling platform developed in Tallinn in 2003. Just 2 years later, Skype was sold to eBay for about $2.6 billion. The deal not only brought financial success to its founders and engineers, but also created capital, experience, and confidence for the next generation of entrepreneurs. After Skype, Estonia's technology ecosystem grew rapidly. Many engineers who had worked on successful projects later returned to invest in new companies. Wise changed the way users transfer money across borders by reducing costs and simplifying the process. Bolt expanded ride-hailing and urban mobility services to more than 40 countries. Capital from earlier successes continued to flow back into the ecosystem, creating a cycle in which earlier entrepreneurs supported the next generation of startups. With education, technology, and a community that reinvests in itself, a small country can still create an impact far beyond its borders. Number 5. The country that backs itself up abroad. As a small country located next to Russia and having spent decades under Soviet control, Estonia understands clearly that physical territory can be threatened. That is why the country carried out an unprecedented idea, backing up its most important national data in a secure location abroad. Estonia became the first country in the world to establish a data embassy. These facilities do not receive citizens or process visas like traditional embassies. Instead, they store copies of essential databases, including population records, land ownership information, government documents, and court rulings. Estonia's critical data is stored in a secure center in Luxembourg. The location is granted diplomatic status, similar to that of a traditional embassy. This means Estonia's information systems are protected both technically and legally, even when they are located outside the country's territory. The idea behind this plan is both unsettling and practical. If Estonia were attacked, occupied, or its domestic systems destroyed, the digital state could still continue operating from abroad. Public services, legal records, and citizen data would not disappear simply because servers inside the country stopped working. That decision comes directly from Estonia's history. The country was incorporated into the Soviet Union for about half a century and only restored its independence in 1991. That memory has led Estonians to always prepare for worst-case scenarios. Number 4. Sarajevo at a glance. The valley where east meets west. Leaving peaceful Estonia on the Baltic Sea, we continue south through Europe to Sarajevo, a city once forgotten, but now recognized as one of the world's most attractive destinations. Located in a narrow valley, at an elevation of about 1,700 feet, Sarajevo is surrounded by mountains of the Dinaric Alps, including Trebević, Bjelašnica, and Jahorina. The Miljacka River flows quietly through the center, creating a landscape that feels both historic and contemplative for a city that has risen again from the wounds of its past. Sarajevo appears like a city hidden among the majestic mountains of the Balkan Peninsula. Located in a narrow valley at an elevation of about 1,700 feet above sea level, the capital of Bosnia and Herzegovina is almost completely surrounded by the Dinaric Alps. Dark green mountain slopes rise in every direction, making the city resemble a vast basin protected by nature. From the Old Town, visitors can see hills stretching above the rooftops from almost anywhere. Flowing through the center of Sarajevo is the Miljacka River, a small river that plays an important role in the city's landscape and history. The water quietly moves from east to west, passing beneath old bridges, through residential areas, and alongside structures that have witnessed many of Europe's upheavals. Along both banks is a mix of historic buildings, cafes, churches, and neighborhoods bearing the marks of different eras. The most distinctive thing about Sarajevo is that the boundary between east and west can be seen on the very same street. Walk in one direction, and visitors enter Baš Čaršija, the old bazaar with strong Ottoman influences, filled with domed roofs, copper shops, and cobblestone alleys. Turn around and walk just a few steps, and the scenery immediately changes into broad avenues, stone buildings, and the elegant architecture of the Austro-Hungarian era. On Faradija Street, a marker is set into the pavement to show where the two cultures meet. The color of the paving stones also changes clearly. One side is lighter, representing the Ottoman quarter, while the other has the darker gray tones of Central European architecture. With just one step, visitors can move from the Eastern world to the Western world. This blend is not only visible in the architecture. Around noon, church bells mix with the call to prayer rising from the mosques. Two sounds that seem to belong to different worlds spread together through the valley, creating what local people call the sound of Sarajevo, the sound of a city where civilizations meet, collide, and learn to coexist. Number 3. The women of Sarajevo. Beauty forged at a crossroads. Women in Sarajevo often leave a strong impression on visitors with their elegant, natural, and distinctive beauty. It is not the kind of beauty created by showiness or temporary fashion standards, but rather a living reflection of a city that has long stood at the crossroads of multiple civilizations. On the old streets, in outdoor cafes, or in the modern city center, they appear with a confident, calm, and captivating presence. This beauty is often explained by the unique history of the Balkan region, from the indigenous Illyrian communities and Slavic groups, through more than 4 centuries of Ottoman influence, to the period of Austro-Hungarian rule. Each era left its mark on Sarajevo's appearance and culture. Over generations, this blending created a wide variety of features. Hair ranging from blonde and chestnut brown to deep black, eyes from blue and gray to dark brown, and faces that combine the softness of the East with the sharper features of Central and Eastern Europe. However, what makes the women of Sarajevo stand out is not only their appearance. The way they walk, carry themselves, and choose their clothing also creates a distinctive kind of beauty. Along Faradija Street, or the tree-lined boulevards, it is easy to see neatly tailored coats, clean shoes, well-kept hair, and moderate makeup. Even on an ordinary day, they maintain a polished appearance as a natural habit. Elegance here does not necessarily come from expensive brands, but from simple coordination, good posture, and confidence in the way they present themselves. Sarajevo also reveals its cultural blend through the names of its people. Within the same family or group of friends, visitors may meet an Amina sitting next to Sarah, or an Ahmed talking with David. Names with Muslim and Christian origins appear side by side in an entirely ordinary way, reflecting the long history of coexistence among Bosniak, Serb, and Croat communities. After periods of division and war, that closeness has become a quiet, but meaningful symbol of the ability to live together. The beauty of Sarajevo's women becomes even more striking when spring arrives. Pink and white cherry blossoms bloom along parks, streets, and residential neighborhoods, making the usually subdued city feel softer. Against this backdrop, leisurely footsteps, elegant outfits, and crowded cafes create a Sarajevo that is both romantic and lively. In many ways, the beauty of the women here cannot be separated from the city itself, but rather feels like a continuation of Sarajevo, multicultural, proud, elegant, and always able to move forward after the upheavals of history. Number 2. Merak, the Bosnian art of savoring life. In Sarajevo, people have a way of life captured in the word merak, a concept that is difficult to translate fully into another language. Merak is the deep joy that comes from very ordinary things: a hot cup of coffee, a conversation without watching the clock, an old song, or a few quiet minutes sitting in the sunlight. It is not loud happiness, nor is it luxurious indulgence, but the ability to fully experience the moment as it happens. In Sarajevo, coffee is rarely drunk in a hurry. People can sit for hours at a small table, talking slowly and letting time pass on its own. They do not see those moments as wasted, because merak is not a reward that comes only after the work is finished. For many Bosnians, it is an essential part of daily life. Work may be important, but life is not measured only by productivity, money, or what people accomplish. That is why cafes in Sarajevo continue to serve as the city's open living rooms. People meet friends, discuss business, or simply sit and watch others pass by. Bosnia is also often mentioned among the countries with some of the highest coffee consumption per capita in the world. This reflects not only how much coffee is consumed, but also the special place this drink holds in community life. This way of living becomes even more meaningful when viewed against the economic difficulties that Bosnia and Herzegovina still faces. When not everyone can afford expensive experiences, people learn to find a sense of abundance in what they already have. A sunny afternoon, a meal with family, or a conversation with an old friend can be worth far more than many material possessions. Merak, therefore, is not simply a habit of relaxation, but also a way of protecting the spirit against the upheavals of history and everyday life. Number 1. Rising from the Ashes. Best in the World, 2025. After decades associated with war, division, and wounds that have not completely disappeared, Sarajevo is gradually entering a new chapter. Once seen by the world as a symbol of conflict, the city is now appearing on lists of the most noteworthy destinations on the planet in National Geographic Travel's Best of the World 2025 list. Sarajevo was highlighted as a reader's favorite destination, marking a meaningful comeback for a city that had once been forgotten. Sarajevo's appeal lies in its ability to combine many experiences within a relatively small area. Visitors can walk through neighborhoods shaped by Ottoman influence, admire Austro-Hungarian architecture, stop by the Miljacka River, and then continue exploring museums that tell the story of the city's turbulent history. Surrounding the valley are green mountains, waterfalls, ski resorts that once hosted Winter Olympic events, and traditional wine-producing regions. History and nature do not exist separately here, but are intertwined through every street, mountainside, and part of everyday life.